Hey, how's it going? All you lovely people at Shut Door or Door Shut are coming back to you with a brand new episode of All the Mods 9. Today is episode 60, and we are in the Aether Dimension. I also just noticed that this is uneven. I'll fix that later, probably. Anyway, we're in the Aether. If you don't know what the Aether Dimension is, basically, as of right now, all we need to know is that it has completely and utterly daylight, daytime setting. I don't care about the bosses, the mobs, all of that. If you kill the sun god, this dimension does become non-daytime all the time, because of course you killed the sun god, which makes kind of some sense. But we are here for the Mekanism shenanigans, because we actually need what is called a solar neutron activator, and that solar neutron activator requires constant daylight to run. So, coming over into this dimension, we actually take care of that. We don't have to worry about daylight ever going away. We don't have to worry about mining penalties for specially placed blocks, or for just normal player placed blocks. And it's fantastic. If we went to like the dimensions like the Everbright, we would have some issues. Of course, I have some issues where mobs are spawning, but that's okay. That guy's not that harmful. But yeah. So, what are we doing with this for Mekanism? Well, we've got fluorite production, we've got uranium production, we've got sulfur production. That's what these three farms are here. So that's uranium, sulfur, and fluorite. And then back here is where our Fissle Fuel is going to be produced. But down here is where a lot of the base components are going to be made for the Fissle Fuel, which is sulfuric acid, which sulfuric acid is sulfur trioxide, and then sulfur trioxide will be oxygen and sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is a chemical oxidizer with sulfur dust. And actually, we do need uranium hexafluoride, technically, for the actual Fissle Fuel portion, which this requires hydrofluoric acid, which is sulfuric acid and fluorite. So there's some processes we need to get through. So first things first, we're going to go and we're going to make a whole lot of water vapor. That's what this line is. And I've actually got space to do a completely another line. So we're going to kind of overkill this in a sense. But I want to pipe out and yeah, so pipe out the front here into ultimate tanks, which I'm just going to have an ultimate tank here and an ultimate tank right here. And I have actually technically set this up once. I just did not like how I set it up, so I tore it all down, rebuilt the building, and yeah, that did take a hot minute. But we actually have some chemical tanks we can put where we need them. So for this one, it's going to go here. For this one, it's going to go here. And then we're going to grab some cables, which actually, do I have some in here? I do. Pressure tubes. So cables are power, tubes are pressure, gases. So we're going to actually put these down because this is what we need. We need the water vapor coming out of this. And we actually need to toggle this so it's deconcentrating. And to do some stuff here, we're going to actually make sure that our sides are set. So output of the front. And then for fluids, we're going to input the top. Okay, and that's going to be for this row. Of course, it's going to be opposite for the row above it. So let me get this going here. So this is just water, which actually, real quick, place a sink down. Where is my configurator? Did I throw it in here? I did not. Where did I throw that? Am I just missing it? Yes, right there. Okay, so we will not do wrench mode. Shift, scroll. There we go. So extract and then input all of the water that we could ever need into the top of these, and then of course the bottom of the next row. And then I'm going to run power cables back behind these, by the way. That's why that's open. It's the same thing. That's open as well behind it. So this should get us going. Once we get power, we just need to make sure we toggle the operation to the decon mode. And that will be basically it. So let's get configure card, shift right click, and then right click all of the machines. So that way they all go into the right modes. Perfect. And then of course all of that will be dumped into here. And we really don't need to reconfigure the sides here, by the way. Doesn't really matter. Make sure our input is on the left. So input, and then our output's actually going to be on the top. Because right here, we're actually going to get a quantum entangloporter. I don't think they show the label of what they're actually set to here. We can just reset this to water vapor, go to gases, so top and bottom are inputs. And then we can place that right there. And then make sure for our chemical tanks, we have output on top here, and then output on bottom. So let me do input left, output bottom. And then auto eject is on for both of these. And that should be golden. And this is actually full, hence why it's not piping in. So that system I had was running for quite a while, but I did not like it. So now let me get the next row of rotary condensators set up for water vapor. And we should basically have no problems keeping water vapor because this is a lot of machines. How many machines is this, to be exact? Where is... Man, I just cannot find anything. There it is, tape measure. So from here to here... So that is 23 machines, so 30, or well, 46 in total is what we're going to have at the end of the day. So let me get those done. We'll be right back. Alrighty, so we've got water vapor sorted out here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to sort out oxygen and hydrogen using the electrolytic separator. Ooh, what in the world? Why can't I can have enchantments placed on this? That is different. That is strange. Anyway, electrolytic separator, put water in it, you get hydrogen and oxygen. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to kind of figure out a placement for these to actually be able to pull both of those liquids out, or both of the gases out, and then supply them with water. So what I'm thinking is we do something like this, where we have the kind of 2 rows. But I'm going to double more than this. So basically, we're going to have the, what did I say, 23 machines, so 46. We're going to have double that. So that's a lot of machines. But I'm hoping we can get double of that. And then from there, we'll have a whole lot of hydrogen and oxygen, which I think might be a little overkill, but that is fine by me. Because we'll be using hydrogen and oxygen quite frequently, in all honesty. So... let me get the machines placed down, and then we'll kind of figure out the cable situation on camera. But I just want to get all the machines placed down so we have kind of a frame of reference real quick. Alright, so I made a change of plans here. I'm actually going to try and do kind of 4 connection points here. So I'm going to put the water pipes down first, and then I'll layer the next set of machines down. So this will be the same as 4, but it won't take up as much space. So what we're going to have to account for here is for the side machines, we're going to have the same output as we are here. So if this is oxygen, then this has to be oxygen on the bottom. And then this one would have to be the hydrogen on this side and hydrogen on this side, right? So you kind of have to make sure that you're matching these, because then it would be flip-flop, right? So your hydrogen's on this side, your hydrogen would be on, let me place this machine down. So hydrogen, and then oxygen, oxygen, right? So you got to keep that in mind. So you could basically do something like this. You just have to make sure that you have the right outputs. Let's get the sink in place here. Do I have one in here? I do have one in here. I think this cable or pipe, tube, mechanical pipe, is that what it's called? Mechanical pipe will provide enough water, but we shall see. So let's get that pumping. Let me get all of the sides configured because I like to have that whenever I'm pushing out or pulling out of something. So let me do that real quick. All right, so real quick, let's set some sides up here. So I'm just going to go into gases, and I'm going to set the bottom here as hydrogen. So hydrogen is blue. So go to gases, down here at the bottom is blue, and then at the top, we're going to want oxygen. So if we actually right-click, we can go back one. Left-click goes forward one. So we can actually just do that pretty quickly and simply. So what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to grab a configuration card and set these side ones all to the proper configuration here, because that should now guarantee us that they are all the proper one. And if you hold your configurator and you actually go to gases, you can see what sides are outputting. So you can see I've actually missed a handful of these by just visually doing this. You can change sides and stuff, but as of right now, since I'm clearing out sides and all of that, I'm actually not going to change any of these sides here. All right, so with that configured, we should now have gases set. So what we'll need to do is we need to make sure that this machine is the same as this machine. So you can see blue here, blue here. So this one is proper, and I've actually already set this one up off camera, by the way, because the front is actually the other side. So you're basically kind of rotating that around. So this side will be the exact opposite of this side. Okay, so if we go into gases here, this would be, the bottom would be green or the cyan color. So we're going to go that, and then the top would be that. And then, of course, we already should have set this up to be, the front is cyan, or no, front is blue, right? And the back is cyan, yes. See, good thing to have the configurator to just visually see what you're looking at. Alrighty, so I don't have power providers set up yet, but I wanted to just quickly talk about the entangloporters that we're going to put at the end, the quantum entangloporters. We're just going to grab all 4 of these, and we're actually going to set them right here at the end. So everything is set up, besides this cable apparently, but this is going to be the same as we did over here. We're going to grab a... Actually, how do I want to do this? I guess we'll need to do multiple, right? So, because I want to have a buffer point. I love having buffer points if you don't know that. Because it just makes sure that we have a backlog in case of power failure or something like that. So let's grab some hydrogen tanks. So we just need 2 of these. So that is oxygen. So this would be hydrogen. And then this one would be hydrogen. And then what we'll do is we will set this down here. And we're going to do hydrogen. Okay. And so on the clear left side is going to be input. And then here, we're going to say right is output and back is input. Okay. So that should fill that up pretty decently. And then we're going to do the same thing here. And then we're going to put the oxygen ones here, right? So we'll set that for oxygen. This one's already set for oxygen, and this one needs to be set for hydrogen. Clear out the sides, input on the right? Yeah, I had to think about the direction for a second. So input back, and then the left is output. Cool? So then here, of course, our bottom side for oxygen is going to be bottom is input, and then everything else is no-go. Okay? So let's grab a couple oxygen tanks. So there and here. Okay? And then we'll just make sure these are configured correctly. So back is input, top is output, and then here, clear, input back, output bottom. And that should be everything we need. So that is completely and utterly set up, besides, of course, the power and also the bottom cable right here, which I actually have the shrink thing. So we can quickly go ahead and do that. I was actually throwing upgrades in the machines before I completely kind of closed them off in a sense. So they are all good. I'm going to knock out this wall so I can run power here. And once power is ready, we will move on to the next step of this. All right, so hydrogen, oxygen, completed. Perfect. And actually, we could probably create multiple ones of these if we really wanted to. I mean, even like this whole system, we could definitely make another set of it. So this is going to work for now. We'll expand it as we need. So what we'll need to do now is kind of still push towards sulfur trioxide. So we've got the oxygen. We just carried about that. We just got that carried on. So chemical oxidizer for sulfur. So sulfur is a pain in most of the aspects of Mekanism. The sulfur oxide. What did I just call it? Sulfuric dioxide. That's what it is. Had to remember the name. This is one of the most painful parts of doing a sulfuric acid setup, in my opinion, because you have to have a lot of sulfur. Chemical oxidizers really aren't that great. They're probably one of the most annoying machines to mess with in Mekanism, just because the fact that you need to pump in so much sulfur, because it produces it quick. Like, it goes through it pretty quick, especially when you throw upgrades and everything in there. So, we're going to kind of come to this edge, and we're going to get this stuff set down. Let's actually set this one down the correct direction. And we're going to do the exact same kind of system as where we have a whole bunch of independent cables. We're going to do 23 wide and probably do 6 sets of these machines rather than the normal amount that we've been doing. And that is an electrolytic separator, not a chemical oxidizer. So let me get all the machines here. All right, let's get this set up here. So first things first, we're actually going to go up, shift right click on that, and then we're going to connect the drawer. Then we're going to place, I think we're actually going to place this drawer here because power cables are going to go right there. And then what we'll do is we'll have pipes coming in to the right and left, if that makes sense. So pipe, item pipes, and then I would be using universal pipes, so the universal pipes from pipes, but the thing is they suck at delivering power. Especially for high-use machines like this, they will basically bottleneck you. Using ultimate cables, which provide a lot of power, usually do not bottleneck the systems. And if they do, you just add another one. And it does pretty decently. Okay, so with that pipe set, we need to now make sure that we set this to extract on round robin. That is important. Round robin is important here because then every machine will have some. Okay, now we need to get the machine set up, which these should have been set the same way. So we're going to do clear, and then right is input, and then left is output, which is actually a gas. So bottom for that. Okay, so let me get these all configured correctly, and we'll be right back. All right, so quickly getting this one finished here. This is set to sulfur trioxide. Let's set that to sulfur dioxide. Let's get this set to accept gas from the input and top and bottom, just input on both. And that should start filling it. Actually, I did a mistake. I don't have buffer points again. Let me quickly see if I have any tanks. I have sulfur trioxide, and I don't have any actual chemical tanks for sulfur dioxide. So let's grab a couple. And we'll get those placed, and then we'll do that. So this is very, very similar to that. We just have some tubes on the right side and bottom left side. And then, of course, I moved the actual sulfur drawer up one so I could actually power down center without doing a weird flux point. And I can actually still access that drawer if needed. And then we've got the 2 tanks here, so we're just going to put one here, and then put the other one... where'd it go? Right there. Just took a second to pop in my inventory. Okay, and then so that will be input right, output bottom. And then input left, output top. And that should start getting us sulfur dioxide. Of course, I'm going to replicate that entirety of the system over to this left side. So we'll have 2 of them. How are we doing with the sulfur right now? Are we dropping in any capacity? We are dropping quite decently, but I want to see if the issue is actually not the sulfur, but the actual current drawer that it's attached to. Because we have an ender chest, and this actually is currently not configured to hold the rest of the items. So let's actually go back up here. I'm still shrunk. That's why I'm going so slow, apparently. And then connect. Those should start flowing back in. I forget to do that every time I move that drawer or mess with the drawer. But that should allow for sulfur to be pushed in, and everything should be fantastic. I moved the sulfur drawer as well, so I have to go reconfigure that. Let's go fly down here and reconfigure this drawer, and let's see if we're falling still. Okay, so I see we're still rising. We dropped a little bit there. Okay. So this is looking like we're still making plenty of sulfur. And all of these have upgrades and everything like that. So we're still decent. We're still good. So let me get the rest of this figured out, the other set, and we'll be right back. All right. So that is completed. We have sulfur dioxide, more than we could ever need. And I think I've accidentally launched some sulfur inside of the actual quantum entangler porters. But that is okay. It looks like we're stable on sulfur as well. Let me toggle some throttle there. It looks like, of course, right now we are kind of losing some. Yeah, we're losing about 1,000. Alrighty. So after some rework here, I have influx of sulfur dust. And I'm going to show you what I did here, but I'm going to have to refactor some of our farms because the original design didn't work out too well. But we have an influx of sulfur, which means that we are producing over the amount that we are using, which is exactly what I want. I want to have a massive reserve in case we start using a massive amount of sulfur dioxide, right? So, upstairs, I have pushed the sulfur farm out more. I haven't covered it like everything else. I just got it done and went down to look, and yeah, the biggest part is, of course, now there's 3 farms, which, of course, there's 3 essence per sulfur piece, right? So, I don't even know how many pieces that is, actually. So, let's press recipe or use right here. So, yeah, 8 per 3. So, we have a whole lot of these supremium growth accelerators placed down here. And if you don't know what these are, they're from Mystical Agriculture, and they basically allow for a accelerated growth tick to be applied to the crops that are 60 blocks above it. And that is 61 where the crop dirt is. So it has to be below the farmland. So it goes from, let me show you. So from here to, let's use this first one as an example, to the block under it. So it'd be where this lily pad is here. So this is, as of current, 29 blocks away. And of course, it would go higher and higher. So all 3 of these farms have that effect. But once it hits 60 on this first layer, everyone below that would be ineffective towards this farm. But this farm would be affected until, of course, it hits 60. And then, of course, this farm would still be affected until it hits 60. So I hope that makes sense. You can use as many of these as you want until you hit that 60 blocks below farmland. So this is definitely faster. And I actually did this with just lily pads earlier to test and see if 3 would be sufficient. It's not. So having a ton of these supremium growth accelerators is what's making this farm possible to actually get enough sulfur to overflow the drawer, right? So that is awesome, okay? That is sulfur dioxide completed. We have a lot of backflow of this. This side's completely seized right now. So this side is catching up, and that is fantastic. So let me be right back. I want to clear out my inventory, and then we'll move on to make sulfur trioxide, which is, of course, oxygen and sulfur dioxide. So nothing too insane, but it should be pretty quick there. All right, for the most part, with sulfur trioxide, completely forgot for a second, we're going to do the exact same configuration, but I want to try something. We have universal pipes, which are technically gas pipes, and I want to see if we can actually use this to input 2 different gases into this system. Now, it looks like I've actually missed some of these. Let me get those placed. But what I'm going to try is I'm going to place down these pipes here on camera and see if we can do this. Because I think we did. Did I place it? Which machines did I place wrong? Because I want to make sure they're all in the same direction. Nope, not the same direction. Okay, so I went towards the wall. And then I do that for all of them, I think, besides this one. That way I don't have to worry about reconfiguring or anything, but I think for the most part I'm just going on the top. But if I need to put anything left or right, I can now. Okay, so let's get these placed. The weird geometry that Mekanism has is a little difficult here and there. Just going to look for those big gray spots right there. All right, so we're going to grab a quantum entangloporter, 2 of them this time, and we are going to go oxygen, set, and we're going to clear, and then we're going to push out this side. And then we are going to grab our advanced pipe upgrades, or ultimate pipe upgrades. And then we're going to come down to the other side here, and we are going to do sulfur dioxide, set, clear all sides of gas, and then output on the left. Okay? So for these, we should basically just be able to clear both sides and do input-output. So we just did that right-click to decrease by 1, and this is working. Okay, so now I have to just provide power to all 4 sides of this and configure them to be that way, which is fantastic, right? So we're not worrying about anything else. Okay, so let me get all the upgrades, all of the configuration stuff figured out, and then I will get power cables in place, and we'll be done with sulfur trioxide. All right, so this appears to be working pretty well, and it actually looks like we are out of oxygen. Did I mess up? I think I did. Okay. Quick way to solve this. Instead of having both of them at the other end, because that's what I did, is I forgot I didn't place another quantum entangloporter down there. And I need to put that down here, but I also need to sneak right here and to disable this pipe. There we go. And just come back down here and enable this pipe and have gases output on the bottom, but make this oxygen, set that, and then just do this. Click on the bottom right there. Okay. And then just make sure on gases everything is round robining and seeing if everything is receiving what it needs. This probably needs for me to set output to the top. There we go. That was my bad. I just was going so quick, I just forgot to make sure that that was not an input. But I've actually made this look a little nicer. Both sides, actually. The universal cable can fit nicely in one of the corners. And I actually guess I've not finished this side. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this power line, move it here. Then I can take out both, which means that I'm only using 2 flux points per operation. And I'm setting this one up as of current to get the next set of operations going, which is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this finished up, and then we'll work on uranium hexafluoride, which may require me to work on a new farm with the new design, get the room pushed out and everything. So that will probably not be done this episode. So we're probably going to wrap this up after I get this completed. And yeah, so we'll be right back. We'll talk about it, and we'll kind of lay out all the plans we have for the next episode. And yeah, we'll be right back. Alrighty, so we have sulfur trioxide and sulfur dioxide done. Of course, we're going to work on fissile fuel and sulfuric acid and hydrofluoric acid. Which is going to require some farm work, because I want to basically have it to where we are better off like the sulfur farm, which is this one. Oop, my portal spawned funny. Nah, I'll fix that. I will relink this portal here in a minute. I had to go back to the overworld, and I destroyed the portal earlier, making this farm. But yeah, so this is good for sulfur, but the thing is like uranium, we have to use 8 per thing. So we'll have to figure that out. And of course, this is something I'll do off camera. But yeah, this episode took probably the longest in a while. Mostly because I have worked on, of course, these farms, kind of getting this area set up, and also looking into a little bit of Mekanism stuff. You know, doing stuff like this is definitely different, because usually I am very, very, like, much just tossing it wherever, but we're kind of creating individual modules that really we could take or duplicate, and I think I want to carry those over to this as well, because I think we could. We could totally move it to where it's like a module unit like this, and just have an entangle a porter at the end with, for example, water vapor or hydrogen. Because I mean, that's basically what this unit is, right? It just has hydrogen and oxygen on all four sides. So we've kind of got units like these 5 units, but this one's not. So I'm thinking about trying to keep everything concise and consistent. And I know sometimes we can't do that, of course, with the hydrogen and oxygen, but definitely some good stuff to look into. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching episode 60 of All the Mods 9. I really did enjoy this, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.